I've had really severe anxiety since I probably had memory. I couldn't do a lot of the things that other kids would be doing. They would go out for like sleepovers and I would always be like, why can't I do that? And it was just this unexplained thing because it would come in the form of stomach aches or headaches or just feeling so sick. And then eventually I got diagnosed as anxiety in middle school. I've always seen mental illness as like the metaphor that everyone's waiting for, kind of like in people in California, they're always waiting for the big quake. They're talking about the big quake. And so that's just kind of what I was doing. I was just waiting for the big quake at some point in my life. At one point I did have that big quake moment, my very last day, my freshman year of college, and I had a heat stroke. And that just rewired a bunch of stuff up there. And so for me, that was the big one. But what I think really took down my health was every day after that was kind of a constant waiting for the big one again. With all that had happened, my brain was slowly kind of setting rules for me. It created a rule where heat's bad, we need to avoid that. And then I ate a pretty large meal and I thought, oh, this is a really similar feeling to that heat stroke. This is bad. Eating this much food is bad. And it got to the point where I had so many rules that it would take me about 45 minutes to eat a plate of food. I kept on fighting and surviving for a couple months. I think I just got to the point where I was about to give up. And I remember my therapist, he had briefly mentioned Rogers in a conversation. And I just brought it up and I was like, what about this place in, I was like, what was it, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin? I knew nothing about Wisconsin. And I was going through the airport and I had to be in a wheelchair because I couldn't stand. I didn't have the energy to stand. And I just remember feeling so embarrassed. And I was like, I don't look like I need to be in a wheelchair. Like, this is embarrassing. And it was only till a couple months ago that my parents showed me some photos at the airport. I just looked like a ghost. I came with thinking that Rogers was gonna put me in like a straitjacket and I was constantly gonna be sedated, and I was kind of expecting just to kind of hate everyone in that building. Because I hated myself at that point too. To my surprise, there were just people that were my age, and they just, they were normal people. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that mental illness could be anybody, even the people that you would least expect. Being the only guy at an eating disorder inpatient, I felt a little out of place. And so I definitely was really self-conscious about that. I think the thing is, with being a guy who has eating disorders, there is no difference really. There's still a stigma that you're supposed to look like a certain thing. You can't really judge a book by its cover. Everyone has their story. I think in order to become stronger and to know how to succeed, you need to fail. And so that's just kind of what I had to do at Rogers. I had to mess up a lot of times. And recovery is never linear. You might watch a lot of these like clips and people might be saying, they might make it sound easy once you get on the other side, but I have my bad days, and there's some days where I'm like, am I going backwards? And you just kind of have to remember, like, if it's a graph, you've already climbed this far, and that little blip is just a little blip when you're already doing so well. My mom would always call and they're like, are you feeling yourself again? Are you feeling yourself? I'm like, no, I don't feel myself. I actually feel a bit better. I don't really know who this person is. I still see a therapist, and it's all work in progress. I'm still learning, figuring out what does and doesn't work. I'm here today.